What's up, folks? David Soto Jr. here, and this is the David Soto Jr. podcast. What's up, folks? Welcome to episode 27 of the David Soto Jr. podcast. I'm your host, David Soto Jr. And I got two things I want to talk about. I got to pick one today. So, the thing that's been on my mind all morning and kind of been thinking about it is fear. And I've talked about fear a couple times already, but it just rules the world. And nothing good comes from it at all. So I have what I categorized as two different types of fear. I don't know if this is true or not. I started to do a little research, and they didn't categorize fear. And then what I could find has too many big words, and I don't understand. So I'm a dummy. You don't have to take my word for it, but I'm going to categorize fear into two categories. I don't know. And that is supported and unsupported fear. All right, we got supported and unsupported fear. Unsupported fear means you're afraid of something that you have no reason to be afraid of. You have no experience. There has been no incidents. There's nothing. But you think something bad is going to come from it. Unsupported fear. Supported fear. You've had a bad experience. Some shit happened to you. There's statistics or something. I don't know. There are all these things. A good example I have of this is my nephew was afraid of bees. And didn't even want to go outside because of bees. Afraid, run into the house, cry, scream, and while everybody would be outside having, a nice family dinner outside, this fool would stay inside and not want to come out. So his dad worked on getting him not to be afraid of bees. And then what happened? This fucker gets stung by a bee. So, now that he's been stung by a bee, so at first his fear may have been unsupported, but now that he got stung, now it's supported. Regardless of all of this, whether it's unsupported fear or supported fear, what you are afraid of does not exist. Right? What you are anticipating is the future. And the future is pretend. It doesn't exist. So therefore, fear does not... Now, fear can be a safety issue. Well, that's a thing. I don't know if it's... All right. I don't know if I should jump in that water. I'm kind of afraid of it. Is that fear or is that common sense, though? Right? Is that fear or is that common sense? I don't know if I should wrestle this bear. I'm kind of afraid of it. Or I know that bears can kill. Should I pet this dog? Oh, man. That makes me wonder. Is that fear or is that common sense? But what I'm trying to get at is that it's very unlikely that fear brings anything positive into people's lives. Any decision there, for sure, any decision based on fear is going to be an unpleasant one or wrong. Let me give you an example that I know of. Like, it doesn't bring anything good. Making decisions based on fear will not bring anything good into your life. Okay, so here, an example is, I remember when I was in Mexico, and I'm still this way to this day, right? I'm afraid to be embarrassed by my Spanish. I am afraid to speak bad Spanish. I will intentionally speak English um, super clear or super with a very gringo accent so that people won't continue or try to speak Spanish to me. Sometimes it doesn't even help. They're like, we're not fooled, fool. You better be speaking Spanish. But I've always, for many, many, many years, even though my Spanish is better now, I still have that same little bit of insecurity when it comes to speaking Spanish. So when I was in Mexico it was a long time ago, 11 years now. When I was in Mexico studying, just learning Spanish, we took a trip to Leon, and we were going to. I was looking to. Well, no, there's shopping in Leon for leather. There's like a leather district, and I was looking for a messenger bag because I was trying to be. That was way before hipsters were cool. It's because I was trying to be a hipster, I guess. But I remember walking around. We took a taxi to Leon, and we're walking around, and it's me and my roommates from my house, and um, I don't know. We're walking around trying to find a place to eat, or looking for this particular messenger bag I saw somebody else with, and we were like almost lost or didn't know where we were going, and we were like, well, I guess we could ask somebody. And me and the other guy looked at each other, and we're like, I'm not gonna ask nobody. And we were just like, no, we're not gonna do it. So the girl that was with us was like, fine, I'll do it. And she walked up to somebody. I don't remember exactly what it is, but she spoke terrible, horrible, bad Spanish and got results. The results that we were looking for were me and this other guy were too afraid to look embarrassed, to speak poor Spanish, to be embarrassed. Um, that girl was not. I'll never forget. She didn't care. She was not afraid to speak bad Spanish. She was not afraid to look like a foreigner. She was not afraid to um, anything that negative that comes from speaking poor gringo Spanish. She didn't give two shits, and what she got in result is results. Where's the leather store? Where can they, a place, do you sell these bags? Where can we get a restaurant? Blah, blah, blah. She got results, and she was fearless about that particular thing. She got good. If she was not with us, so me and this other dummy, too afraid to speak bad Spanish, our decision is that we're not going to say anything. We're not going to talk. We're not going to ask directions. We're not going to ask any questions. And so, what are the results that we got? If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have gotten any results. Out of fear, we got nothing. We got nothing. And sometimes people are so afraid of what could happen. So what could have happened if I went up there and misconjugated a verb, right? Nothing. Nothing would have happened. Would they have kidnapped me? Because you speak bad Spanish, so we're going to kidnap you. We're going to take away Christmas. Blah, blah, blah. No. It's ridiculous. Nothing bad would have happened. And that's the thing, is we base our decisions in our life based on things that we think will happen and that we won't like or that they'll be hard. And the truth is, they rarely occur. And if they do, they're not as bad as we thought. I know I had some other notes, but of course I didn't look at them. But this making decisions. Oh my God, I'm gonna sneeze. I haven't had a sneeze on. Oh, it might pass. Making decisions based on fear are not gonna get you any results. No positive results. That's for sure. Also, is the decisions you're gonna not get the thing you want, right? This example of me and my roommates in Guanajuato, we're looking for a leather store or the bus station, and fear would have kept us. Damn it! Fear would have kept us from finding those things, from getting what we want. The only thing fear can do is keep you from getting what you want. I don't know what else. I don't know what else to say about that. It's in your imagination. When they say life begins outside your comfort zone, that is absolutely 100% correct. Anything I've ever done that's been worth a shit has been scary. But I did it anyway. And I had good results. I had fun trips. I mean, talking about going to Mexico to live or to study or whatever, going to, you know, I rode my motorcycle into Mexico one year. I don't know how many miles, long ass trip. I was scared as shit. What was the worst that could happen, right? I don't know. My bike broke. My motorcycle breaks down or something. What ended up happening was I didn't notice, but I wore. I needed. I could see like the belt in the tire. I had worn through the tire on that trip, and I was in the middle of. I was in Puerto Peñasco and had hours of driving through the desert, the Mexican desert, in Mexico, and then the regular ass Arizona desert. But it was awesome, and I have this great story. And the thing is, nothing happened. Nothing happened. Everything that was afraid of happening didn't happen. Here's another thing, more recent. In the van, I'm afraid to take long trips sometimes because I'm afraid to break down in the middle of nowhere. Now, I like to go off the beaten path, and I like to go down, see things that aren't like really. I like to go places and see things that are off the interstate. Interstate will get you there, but very rarely does an interstate have a gorgeous view or sights that need to be seen or anything. So I like to travel off the beaten path and take highways. And recently I tried to go to Austin, and I was like, man, there's a park here with a lake. I'm going to go check it out. And so I drove hours and hours and hours off the beaten path. And my biggest fear came true. I broke down in the middle of nowhere in my van where I sleep. Worst. That's the worst possible thing that could happen to me in my head, these days, is that I break down while taking a long trip. So I did. And what happened, I told that story in the podcast, I'm pretty sure. I don't know the episode, but what ended up happening was I had cell service. Called the tow truck. They came and got me. Got a hotel. Stayed in a hotel for a couple nights. They fixed my van. Here I am. And the end result, even my biggest fear happened, and nothing happened. It wasn't that big of a deal. Anyways, I thought I would have more to say about this whole fears thing. There's nothing to be afraid of. Right, even if, and here's the point, one of the points I wanted to make, not sure if I did or not. Even if you were robbed at the corner of whatever before, the corner of such and such and such and such, I was robbed there. I understand how scary that could be. I understand how you could be afraid to go there. I mean, I've had shit like that happen to me, even as a kid. Very young boy. There was a shoot. They were shooting. They were shooting. I don't know who they were, but there were some people with guns out in front of our house, just randomly shooting through the neighborhood. Very. Golly, man, I was young. I can't believe my memory. That's why I have good memoirs, because I remember such detail. I was very, 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 very young, possibly 4 years old. My World War II veteran grandfather hit the deck like that. Boom. Heard gunfire. Bam. He was down. Rest of the family got down after Grandpa did. He was the first. Rest of the family got down. Shooters were shooting. Left. Called. Cops came. They're like, "There's nobody out there. We'll try and find them." Blah blah blah. They had actually, one of the bullets had actually penetrated the house next to us and like injured somebody. And we left. Well, that was my grandfather's house, where my aunt lived at the time, who babysat me. I wasn't even old enough to go to school. So she babysat me, and I was afraid to go there because of what had happened. I was afraid. So that's what I'm calling supported fear. Like, I have a reason to be afraid. But the thing is what I was afraid of was another shooting, another thing happening. And that doesn't exist. I'm afraid of something that may or may not happen that could ruin a person's life. Do you know how many things may or may not happen? Like, oh, I don't want to do this, and I don't want to drive in case I get hit by a car. If you drive or sit in a car while it's moving, you should have nothing to be afraid of. You should be afraid of nothing, because the likelihood of you dying in a car is very, very, very high. I checked the stats one time. I think it's like in the United States, it's like 100 to 1. I'm not 100%. Don't quote my numbers. 60% statistics are false. I just made that one up. See? You see? But I think that if you drive a car, but you're afraid to go out at night, or you're afraid to take medicine, or you're afraid of whatever you are afraid of. If you drive a car, you are facing one of the most dangerous things in the world. How often? Answer me that. How often do you drive a car or get in a car? And then what the fuck else do you have to be afraid of? Because the likelihood of us dying in a car accident is like one of the highest ways to get killed in the United States, at least. Maybe the world. I don't know that one. I'd be making that one up too. But it is, we've heard that driving or flying is safer than driving. Like, it is one of the most dangerous things that we can do as human beings, as United States citizens. But we do it fearlessly every day. Like, you may be afraid to go surfing because you don't want to die, but you'll get in your car and drive to the grocery store. It's silly. Fear is silly. Making decisions based on fear is silly. I've seen stubborn people choose fear over happiness. I know I could do this thing with these people that I love, but it's outside of my comfort zone. I don't feel 100% safe doing that, so I'm not. I'm going to pass up. I've been all over the place with this podcast, folks. Let me see if I can sum it up so I can get the hell out of here and get my coffee. 2 kinds of fear, supported and unsupported. In either case, what you're afraid of does not exist. Our fears are fears of what may happen, right? We're afraid, and even if we did get attacked by an angry mob of Vietnamese, I'm just picking an ethnicity here, right? If we walk into a Vietnamese store, will it happen again? That's what we're afraid of. We're afraid it will happen again. We're afraid of whatever happened to us will happen again. And we can't let that fear control our lives. We can't let that projection, the thought of something that might happen, control our lives. Even if it has happened again, it hasn't. What we're worried about is the future and that it may happen again. Again, everything that we're afraid of is a maybe. It might happen, it might not. And we cannot live our lives like that. We cannot live our lives making decisions out of all the random things in the world that might happen. We can't make decisions based on that. It's ridiculous. It's silly. And I am guilty of it many times over. That's why I have these. That's why I talk about these things. Anyways, folks, that's it. You can find me on Twitter at David E. Soto Jr. JR for Junior. On Instagram at David E. Soto Jr. And my website, whatever. It's whatever. DavidSotoWrites.com. I did get my first feedback from Moncada, from somebody who read it. And basically, he responded the way I hoped people would respond, right? There's supposed to be some heartbreaking going on. Some like mouth covering, some gasping. Supposed to be. So, he's probably the only person to read it so far. But it got the reaction that I wanted to get out of readers. I got out of him. So that's awesome. So if you're interested, check out Moncada. The birth of a revolution on Amazon right now. You can see the links on my website, etc., etc., etc. I appreciate you people tuning in and letting me just vent out these random thoughts. And maybe they're interesting. Maybe they help you out. I hope so. I know they're helping me out. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you very much.